there, I'm Tony Glynn and welcome along to the PGG Wrightson Stud Tower. Now this week we're up in Feely. We're catching up with David Giddings of Meadowslea, Angus and Sheep Genetics. Now they're all bred on the hills up there behind me. Survivability is paramount. So let's go and meet David and his team.
The family been here, started the Romney stud in 1926, so that's 80-something years, so a fair bit of history. Meadowslea was a stud farm in the old terms of a stud farm, where we had Romney ewes lambing here on heavy flats, and in the Warburn days that was the type of sheep that was very popular. But as the dairy industry sort of took off and sheep were pushed back into the hills, we had to make some big changes. So in 1992 we bought a hill block 5 kilometres away, Meadowslea it's called, and we took our Romney ewes from here and took them up on the hill and basically shut the gate and left them to it. We realised that we had to change the type to suit a hill country environment, and the best way to do that was to let nature sort it out really. And that's what's happened, and it's 20 years since we did that, and the type now is completely different to what we had back in those days. The basis of our whole breeding program is the unshepherded background of these sheep on hill country. So it's 20 years now since we did a lambing breed at all. These sheep are left entirely to their own devices to lamb, and we tail them as soon as they're old enough to bring off those blocks, and that's the first time they see a man or a dog, so that's a true survival that we're getting out of these sheep. They can lamb up unassisted on hill country, and that they can take those lambs through to tailing time. So it's really sustainable production of hill country that is going to be a low work input for our clients, but that are packed full of genes that will give them profitability. The type did have to change, and the market of course has changed along with it, but now they're a thicker, deeper bodied, easier doing type of sheep. When you're farming at that altitude, unless you've got strength of bone and constitution and some good spring of rib and motor room, the sheep just don't last the distance.
Jeff Ellison here, just near Feely. Whereabouts are you from, Jeff?
Me? Oh, we live down at Cricklewood, about 8 k's below Feely.
Yep.
And I've been in this area for a long time. I managed a property over the river behind Berridale for 24 years. And I run Romney sheep there as well, and I've been involved with Romney sheep for a long time. My father had Romneys at Albury, in behind Albury. When I was 9-year-old, we shifted to Albury, and then as time went on, I got older, and I helped a neighbour with the lambing there for 5 years. And thinking back, they were terrible sheep. We used to go out and do a round lambing time before breakfast. We would put in 6 or 8 bearings before breakfast.
That'd be good before breakfast.
That was great, yes.
Yeah.
And then pull about 20 bloody lambs, and as time's gone on, the sheep have been left to their own devices, I suppose. We've lost a few through bearings and through lambing problems, but that has been bred out of them a bit. And David here, 20 years ago, he put these sheep from Meadowslea up into Berridale here, and look at them today. I've brought these Romney ewes down with their lambs, not on my own, I've had an assistant, and marvellous, a lot of twins. Survival rate, these ewes have to put up with all sorts of weather up in that high country, and they've still got condition on, still big ewes and great mothers. I come down, we've got to come quite a way down the track with sheep, and there was a ewe there that had 2 very young lambs. Well, she still had those young lambs when I put them through the gate on the flat. So
Yeah.
very good sheep, very good sheep.
Never seen humans, these lambs.
No, of course I haven't. Never seen dogs either. Yeah, so, but no, I all credit goes to David and these sheep up here lambing on this sort of country. It's excellent.
Now that's not easy country up there. It's up to 2,000 feet, fairly exposed. We can get snow through lambing time. So that's really the key to it, I guess, at this time of year, is to get them down, get them tagged, get the survival, and get them mothered up, to the correct mother so that we can get the performance off their for their lifetime.
So Meadowslea stud managing the place here now, Bruce. How are you enjoying that?
Yeah, it's good, Tony. Yeah, no, it's quite a varied with having both the sheep and beef. It's there's always something different to do, and it's quite a variety.
Fairly flat out over the last few days.
Yeah, we're in the process of tagging up all the lambs. We've got Stu Cartwright, who's a new fella here. He's just been on board for 4 or 5 months here, and he's based up here. This tagging, they sort of want to be young, not too young that you're sort of having to carry them, but if they get a wee bit older, they get a wee bit more independent, and you can't actually mother them together quite so easy. You'll find one that'll say bugger it and he'll head off in a different direction. We haven't had too many hold-ups, but with Steve and Jeff here, a couple of handy dog men there.
Yeah,
so,
some of the best in the country.
Yeah, so they sort of keep rolling through pretty bloody quick, so it's good.
No stranger to interviews, just recently pumping up the volume at the New Zealand dog trials there.
Oh, yeah.
Both hunts.
Yeah.
Would have been a bit of a thrill there.
Oh, it was real good. Yeah, no, it's good to get in those things.
Yeah, and giving the dogs a bit of a run today.
Yeah, doing obviously shedding out using lambs here to tag them. So no, it's a bit of work for the dogs.
Where are you based, Steve?
Oh, we're just up the road from Berrydale here at Berkeley Downs. So we just boundary this property and yeah.
And what are you farming up there?
We're just sheep and beef. So Romney Texel ewes and Angus cows.
Yeah, and you go right up to the snow there.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well, the snow comes right down to you.
Yeah, it comes and meets us a bit.
Yeah.
Now we go up to 2,500 feet. So it gets pretty cold. It's nothing to be. We get plenty of days in a row when we get in a series of frosts that are below zero. So
hard man country.
Yeah. So no, it's a pretty cold little corner here. So yeah. Obviously we're using the Romney Texel, with the hill that we got, quite a native sort of a block. But now we think they seem to work pretty good for us.
Yep. And
so we've been using them for sort of 5-6 years now, and we're pretty happy with what we're getting.
And so why the Romney Texels though?
Mostly for us growth. They're just great lambs.
Yeah.
Yep. They just up on their feet, and then they get out of the blocks, and you see them at tailing and weaning, and they just fast growing.
Yeah.
Yep. And our scanning, we're getting pretty good scannings out of them now, and then in survivals, been bloody good. So 20 years they've been lambing these sheep on the hill, and definitely every year the survival one would be coming off for tagging and weanings, gets better all the time, and the other one would be used, conditioned. And the Texel was sort of introduced during that period and seemed to be quite a different animal to what the New Zealand farmers were used to. But by infusing them or crossing them with the Romney, we found that they produced a very good type of animal. Something that was a wee bit hardier, but a very easy doing animal, carried a lot of condition. The lambs were heavier, they yielded better, and they crossed particularly well with our Romneys. So we tried them and were very pleased with the result, and still are.
We've been getting the meat from David for 18 years now, and I think David, he's a consistent supplier, like 12 months of the year. A lot of people come here, farmers, and they say, oh, I could supply you with good lambs, but they mainly can supply you only for 4 or 6 months, not for the entire year. And we're, a full year business. We can't just say, oh, we haven't got any lamb now. Meat is a little bit like people are all different all the time, but you more or less, you get the same quality when you have the same cross of lamb. And if you use other lambs sometimes, then you just notice it's not as tender.
And the customers can tell too.
Oh yeah, and you don't want the customers to complain.
And a lot of customers asking where the meat actually comes from.
Often they do, yeah. Most time more and more people want to know where did it come from, how do you know that? Etc. I mean, I think it's also people get more and more made aware from where things come from, and they're just more concerned about it. The most popular cut for us still is always the French rack, because people have a lot of dinner parties and they think that looks impressive. But we do also boned and rolled shoulders, who are very, very popular, because it's not only a cheap cut, but we trim it nicely and it is extremely tender if you cook it well. And people just say, wow, it could have been just as easy a leg, but it is still shoulder. So anything, in the summertime we sell more butterfly lamb legs, in the wintertime we sell more whole lamb legs. So it's just a change from season, when what the weather does, then we need to change the cuts as well.
The Romney sort of lost popularity as the wool price dropped back, and the emphasis was on more lambs and fertility, introduction of some new exotic breeds about the same time. Yeah. So there was a lot of breed changing going on, and a lot of people sort of reassessing their programs, and a lot of our traditional areas we sold Romney to had gone to dairying. So yeah, we started by first of all breeding the Romdale, so that's the Perrindale Romney cross. I guess the rationale behind it was that we had very good Romney ewes, all those years of breeding, and they weren't all required to breed Romney rams that we could sell. So it seemed to us a very sensible thing to do was to crossbreed them. Yeah. And so we started using the Perrindale ram. Well, the basis really of what we do is the Romney breed. So really the Romney is the cornerstone of our operation. And so we have 1,000 stud Romney ewes, of which the best, if you like, the nucleus flock of 500 go to the straight Romney. We are breeding first cross animals out of the Romney ewes. So we are then very reliant on other breeders producing a purebred, whether it be a Perrindale or a Texel or whatever it is that we're crossbreeding from. So we do a lot of research to find breeders that share the same philosophy, doing the same job as we are, so that we can carry on and go forward without losing any of the traits that we've got into our own sheep.
Adam Thacker here at Okains Bay. Where's Okains Bay, Adam?
It's on Banks Peninsula, just an hour from Christchurch.
Yep. What are you farming here?
Sheep and beef, breeding and fattening. Run about sort of 1,800 ewes now, including hoggets, and about 500 cattle. Yep. Buy weaner cattle and kill them going into their second winter. Run with the sheep, have a breeding unit basically, and then comprising of sort of three things: the stud, and then a commercial flock to keep the numbers of Perrindale ewes there we need, and then a terminal flock that just goes to the blackface. Yeah. And the hoggets all go to the blackface as well. Just sort of makes things easy.
How long have you had the stud?
Mum and Dad started it in about early 1970s. And then sort of disbanded it for a while during the 90s, and then when I came home from school got interested again and started it up. So yeah, been going for a wee while. Try and run a pretty low cost regime. They get very limited amount of chemical. We're not organic, but pretty close to it. The ewes are on a no drenching regime anymore, and young stock get it at weaning time, and then once going into the autumn, and that's generally it for their life as well. So try and test them out. We've got a home block, and then we've got this coastal block, but always predominantly just ran cattle. Yep. We've sort of tweaked it a bit to be running a few more ewes since I've upped the numbers, but this is where I bring my terminal ewes out. We've got country that suits them, and we can just get really good drafts of lambs early off them, and then sort of still shut it up for the summer. When it becomes our toughest time out here, we really are a winter farm. So yeah, being able to get a good early draft of lambs away, and then shut this country up sort of works.
And I understand David gets a few top Perrindale rams off here for
to breed as Romdales. Yeah, they're the sort of sheep that suit him. We've got pretty early maturing sheep because of the country. Again, it's essential to have that type of animal, and they've got the fertility there on this sort of country. So it's a good mix there to go over the Romdale, and then again for David for the sort of for his clients for the country they're going into. Yeah. So, saw these ranges which really appealed to me. Saw them at the show, and because I've always liked my Perrindales, and nothing's really, like sheep in general, but saw these sheep and thought, would like to give them a try, do something different. Was getting a few more numbers and didn't need all those replacement stock. So tried these ranges. They seem to have a similar attitude to the Perrindale, and have complemented them very well. The hoggets had very good run with. Last year, for instance, I ended up keeping the females out of them, but the males, I got 2/3 of them went fat on the truck, so that was pretty happy. Yeah. Only had 2 lambs, I think they're under 30 kilograms, so off hoggets thought it was not bad going, but yeah, certainly with the young stock, still got to feed them for their production though. get big drafts off mum, and in our country that's really our key. Like last year, as I said, would probably be the first year where it wasn't so important to have a whole lot of fat lambs. You're pretty well paid for a store lamb, but in our country it's very vital to get fat lambs off mum, and that's what the range has been able to do for us. Just a very vibrant lamb that just gets up and goes. The old cliche, but it really does. Yeah.
We've been looking for a terminal sire really to add to the mix. A lot of our existing clients also bought a terminal, and we continued to hear that the terminal sires they were using didn't last the distance. That they were bred on softer country perhaps, and they were packing up in the feet or whatever. So we had a lot of clients asking us about terminals, and we hadn't been able to find anything that suited. So the Kelso terminal, which is also called the Ranger, came along, and we liked the idea of it. It was hill bred, it was unshepherded, and the feet were good. So we gave them a go and been very impressed with the results we got from them. Kelso maternal we got a little bit after that. The opportunity came to try those sheep, and again we were unsure how they would go. They're very high performance animals, and a composite. So we were unsure how they'd go in our operation, but we got them and lambed them the first year on probably the roughest block we've got, and they gave us the best tailing percentage of any of the breeds we had, and they've continued to do that. They scan consistently in the mid 190s, and we've given us up to 170% on pretty tough tussock country. So endeavouring to improve them structurally and cosmetically, make them better black noses and get rid of the black spots, and generally tidy them up on their feet and give more bone into them. But the guys that farm those really like them, and you can be sure they'll give people a big lift in performance. They were started as a breed when those exotics were introduced. So we had the Texel and we had the Finn and we had the East Frisian, all went into the mix with a Romney and a Perrindale and a Coopworth, depending on which guys were breeding them. So that's sort of their background. But as I said, they've been so stabilised now for 20 years. There's probably a lot more of the Texel influence in there now, they're truly recognised as a breed on their own now.
Yeah, well, David joined the Kelso group about 6 years ago, purchasing elite Kelso ewes and elite Ranger ewes from the Kelso flock. From there on, we marketed the rams throughout his clients and through the South Island. The Kelso Rangers have been excellent for us, and probably a wider spectrum of clients, right from the Merino Hill Country guys through to the flatland crossbreed people.
So what are the farmers mostly, getting involved with the Kelsos for?
Mainly to lift their fertility in their existing flocks, also the growth rates in the lambs. They've been around for 20 years. They're a stabilised breed, and they're bred predominantly for growth rates as well as fertility. So they're tough, no nonsense, and probably the only problem with them, they live too long.
Started the Angus stud in 1985, and have been able to build that up actually to 300 cows, all stud cows. And again, the same principles apply. I mean, we are trying to breed a hill country bull that is run on in South Highland native tussock country, and we actually graze those cows out on our neighbour Steve Kerr's property for the winter, and they're taken right through to live out there, not fed out at all. They just live on those tussock blocks until they come down just before calving. We have to bring them down so that we can weigh the calves at birth. But yeah, very similar type of animals emerged there, thicker, deep-bodied, easy-doing cattle, carrying good fat levels going into the winter, good constitution, bone, and plenty of motor room, plenty of middle in them.
Greg Hand, you're farming here at Dunback. What sort of an operation are you running here, Greg?
An extensive property, 10,000 acres. Basically all hill country. I have got paddocks over the back of the property, but at the moment we're struggling badly with rabbits over there. I've been buying rams from David for about 8 years anyway. Texel Romney more for the hardiness and the attributes, the good muscly arse ends and that sort of thing. I'm running 320 cows to the bull or calving this year, sorry, and obviously replacements on top of that. I don't calve my heifers till they're 3-year-old to give them time to grow out on this sort of country here. And I'm running 4,000 ewes and replacements with them as well. So
It'll keep you fairly busy.
yeah, we're busy enough. Quiet.
Keep those dogs busy too.
Yeah, no, plenty of action for them around here.
Yeah, now you got some nice Meadowslea bulls here, some Angus bulls.
Yes, yeah, no, very happy with the Meadowslea bulls I've been buying. I've been buying off David for 12 years, I think it is. Yeah, since his first spring bull sale.
Must be something that you like there.
Yeah, I like the type of bulls he produces. They're not extreme in any respect. They're probably, in fact, they're probably smaller than some of the bulls around at sale time. But yeah, they've just got the right characteristics for what I want here.
You wouldn't want anything too big on this country.
No, definitely. The shorter they are and close to the ground they're made, a bit like me, the better.
Yeah.
I reckon. And yeah, positive fats is a very big high thing on the list. I go through the catalogue, and that's the first thing I check for through all the bulls is they've got to have positive fats because they've got to be able to survive on this country.
Yeah.
And my cows winter with no supplements or anything like that here, so they've got to be able to look after themselves in all sorts of weathers. It can be very dry or it can be very wet. It can be a bit of everything here through the winters and that sort of thing here, and yeah, it's just to throw anything at us.
I've got a number of concerns, Tony, with the breed plan figures in this environment, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding with them as well. But I mean, there's a lot of talk about trying to get cattle that will grow faster. It sounds like you're going to make more money if if your steers grow faster, and growth seems to be something that you should have. Yeah. But on the other side of the coin, with the females that you're keeping in your herd, a high growth animal will eat more, and so and a high growth animal also tends to be a bigger animal. So guys have got to think, where they're going to run these cattle. And most people, when you talk to them and ask them, how are you feeding your cows these days? I say, well, to be honest, these new high-performance sheep that we've got clean out a lot of this cattle country. And our cows probably get less to eat than they used to. And, they're up on that hill, but there's just not as much tag on it as there used to be because of the new sheep. The sheep are such good foragers, the Romdales or whatever they've got up there. And so in a lot of cases, the cows are not getting any more to eat. In fact, probably we're having to work harder. And so, to get profitability out of a cow herd, you've got to get them in calf and get them in calf early, and they've got to do that every year for 10 years. So what tends to happen in our environment is these higher performance cows are struggling to get enough to eat up there because they've got a bigger appetite, and yet we don't have any more for them to eat, so they're in a lighter condition. And so they come down and calve in a lighter condition, and they don't cycle again quick enough to get back in calf. So they get back in calf, but maybe on the second cycle. And then the following year, the same thing happens, and they'll drop out of our system because we're only having the bulls out for 2 cycles. So you might have, very good genetics potentially in this cow, but she's dry as a 3-year-old, as a third calving. Yeah. So we've had to pull these figures back and make some sense out of the middle of the road type of cattle that will produce for us consistently and sustainably, really, in that environment. And they are not high performance figured cattle. They're just good middle of the road type cattle that carry good fat covers on them, so they can stay in good condition. They can live on that hill without having a big appetite. They can run efficiently out there. They can come down still in good nick. They have a good calf, and the day the bull goes out, they're back in calf again, just like that. And those cattle will do that for 10 years. And these are going to be easy cattle for farmers to run on hill country. It's what the Angus is known for, So by really tweaking up the production, and that includes higher milk production, if you've got a cow that's genetically high in milk production, she needs to eat more grass. And if you haven't got more grass, she'll genetically try and still produce that milk, so she tears that body weight off herself, and she becomes skinnier, and she can't get back in calf again. So you have to ask yourself, what is it you're trying to do with these cattle?
Now you have 4 sales a year.
Yeah, we do, Tony. I don't know that that's by design or by accident, really. But yeah, our main ram sale is in the end of November, and I think that's one of the two biggest single ram sales in New Zealand, single vendor ram sales. So it's quite a large at 300 rams, all selected on the SIL performance background, and that's really based on the Romney performance. So the rankings are all put into an index, and that's all available for the guys to select from.
There's a graph here of lamb survival.
Yep.
And this is, the dotted line is for all the flocks that are included in the big ACE across flocks analysis, and the black line is David's Meadowslea flock. So it
way up there above
shows his survival is really good. But it's not just survival. Lamb growth has done the same. So it's just consistent improvement year after year. And he's right up there with the top Romney breeders in terms of his sheep improvement figures. The sheep improvement figures give you a very good guidelines, and so if you cull out the stuff at the bottom, it's got to keep pushing things up. And David's had been quite aggressive in getting rid of the poor performers, so it has to, keep pushing it up. And really across the national flock, we haven't seen a real tailing off yet, so there's plenty of room for progress. It's just a matter of continuing selecting the better animals. One day we'll be reduced to a certain small group of bloodlines, but that hasn't happened yet. The index combines a number of factors, so that the highest index is going to have the best combination. Sometimes it may be fertilities kicking up the index, or it may be growth rates, but overall the best index is going to be the best combination. So if you buy rams ranked on index, then the top ranking one will be worth more than the 10th, and so on.
Well, I think it is interesting that as you see those breeds coming down and coming through the system that we've got there, that there's an awful lot of similarities now between the different breeds, and they are becoming a lot more similar. And so it's really now about the type of animal that we're producing rather than what breed they actually are, because the type of animal that will produce off that country are all looking the same. They're compact, they're strong hind-quartered sheep, and they're easy sheep to farm. Don't believe it.
For more information on the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour, visit ruraltv.co.nz and come and join us on Facebook.